Spooky death scene. So I was on call when I was a homicide detective one night when I got a call from dispatch. I was told that an older gentleman called 911 and said his wife was dead and it was his fault. Dispatch asked if anyone else was home and he stated yes, but when asked who he said nobody. I get there and she's dead on the couch with visible head trauma, nothing crazy though. The first thing I always do at a scene is go room to room and make sure my crime scene isn't being contaminated and verify that nobody else is inside. I had deputies out in the garage with the suspect who was being very polite and cooperative. I check all the rooms and everything looks okay, and I'm standing in the kitchen with the LT and we are discussing the case. The way the house was set up, you can't see the front door from the kitchen but it's just to the right of it with a partial wall separating the rooms. The living room is directly in front of the entryway, maybe 15 feet from the front door. So as I'm sitting there talking with the LT when all of a sudden we hear the front door creak and open. I get pissed because I think some clueless deputy is either walking into the crime scene or is letting someone else wander in. So as I round the corner to see the door now about a foot open, I see nobody around. I figured someone must have walked away after they opened it, but there was an enclosed screen porch before you can get to the door. The screen door was locked from the inside, so there's no way anyone was able to get to the main front door. So me and the LT are both puzzled and figure must have been the wind. Maybe the door wasn't latched all the way but just looked closed. However, when I put my hand on the door to push it I felt that it was a heavy-duty steel exterior door. So it's very heavy and there's no way possible wind did that. Even weirder was there was a straight line from the door to the body. So we are immediately creeped out, because there was no reasonable explanation. So I go into the garage and interview the husband/suspect at length. As it turns out, and the evidence fully supported his explanation, she slipped and hit her head getting out of the shower. She didn't want to go to the hospital and wanted to go to sleep and he let her, so he felt that he was responsible for her death. He was probably 75 or 80 years old but extremely lucid and clearly had no cognitive issues. We discussed his military time and some of his life when I first sat down and was building a rapport with him. So before I got up, I told him there was one last thing I had to clear up, which was on the 911 call when he said they weren't home alone. He laughed and said I'd think he's crazy, but I explained that after over an hour of speaking with him I felt he was certainly not crazy. He then started to explain that there are little people that live in his house. Obviously I looked skeptical, but he explained that he's never actually seen them but they're mischievous. They do things like flush toilets, take an item out of the cupboard, move things around and open doors. I'm sure my eyes went as wide as pie plates at this point. He asked me if it happened when I was inside, because he thought he heard his front door open earlier. I nodded and he thanked me profusely, saying he's so glad I experienced it so he knows he's not losing his mind. At that point, my death case was determined to be accidental and best I can figure. The little people opened the front door so the dead wife's spirit could walk outside. So I got the fuck out of his haunted house.